Hey everyone, it's Lexie. So in today's video, I'll be doing a series review of the Stillhouse Lake series by Caine. So the 5 books in this series include Stillhouse Lake, Killman Creek, Wolf Hunter River, Bitter Falls, and Heartbreak Bay. So the series has 5 installments, and each one kind of focuses on this family's journey. So we follow a girl named Gina Royal who like a couple years ago was involved in this big scandal. Her husband was found out to be a notorious serial killer, and so everyone assumed that she was somehow involved with all this, but she had no idea this was going on. She was also kind of manipulated by the serial killer Melvin as well, her husband, and so everyone assumed that she was somehow involved, and even though she was acquitted in court, people still think that she got away with murder, basically. So she and her kids have been on the run for several years, living under false identities and just trying to have a normal life when there are people on the internet that are kind of going out of their way and making sure that they ruin not only her life but the lives of her kids as well. And these people are kind of also putting her and her family's life in danger. So basically this series was also tragically cut short as well. This author passed away in late 2020 due to cancer. So the last and final book, which came out, I want to say in March of 2021, is the last book in the series, which makes it a little bit sad. But the first 2 books really focus on the kind of fallout and aftermath of the Melvin Royal drama of her husband being found guilty of murdering several women in a very graphic and horrible manner. And so the first 2 books really kind of deal with that, and Gina, who changes her name to Gwen, like her struggle with kind of like, you know, letting all that go, but when there's people out there that are basically trying to, you know, attack her and her family. And that is a common theme throughout this, where the character of Melvin like always has some influence on these people. Like he's like stained them in a way that he will always be a part of them no matter what. All the trauma he's caused them will kind of live with these characters for years and years to come. But the first 2 books really deal with Melvin in particular, and kind of to come to terms with everything that has happened there. And so the next 3 books in the series kind of focus, the series takes a different direction. In particular, we follow Gwen, who's kind of going down a path of becoming a private detective, and they go off from there. But there is always the prejudice of her being the wife of a notorious serial killer is kind of present throughout. So we kind of see her struggle with trying to find a home for her family where the past of her husband's, you know, murders don't overshadow the lives of her children who are just trying to survive like the rest of us. So I really was like, it's a little bit sad that the series did get cut off where it did, because based on the growth that we see throughout these characters when we're first introduced to them to this end, like there was such tremendous growth, and I was so excited to see what these characters had next. But you know, life sometimes gets in the way of things. But overall, this series is very dark and intense. It's very graphic, so if you are a little bit queasy with those things, then this book does not shy away from being very, you know, heavy on the imagery and not shying away from the dark horrors of, you know, serial killers and murderers and all those things. Like, it doesn't shy away from that. So if you're a little bit, you know, squeamish, it might be a little bit too much for you. But I really love how, especially in here, it talks about kind of, you know, online culture and how people who hide behind, you know, usernames and hide behind a computer, they can kind of feel like they can say or do anything, and they don't realize the repercussions that it can have on the people at the end of that, especially people who have been proven to be innocent and not involved in a crime. And I think that's really interesting and an important dialogue on especially like cancel culture and kind of online culture as in general. I think it is a good thing, but also just kind of the public image of people who are perceived to be, you know, nasty women and that are manipulative, but they were actually victims within the whole system as well, which I really enjoy. And every book has some sort of really intense ending in whatever way, so it's really action-packed. And especially, like I said, in the last 3 books, with like murder mysteries and trying to solve what's going on. Like, you're picking up the pieces of everything and you do like are trying to solve it with the characters as well, which is a lot of fun. And every book has been super intense, like especially the endings where everything just kind of blows up and it's just like, oh my goodness, and you have to like, you just want to keep reading because it is so intense. Everything really keeps you on the edge of your seat, and it really was a wild ride. And I think this author does a really good job of, you know, keeping you engaged with these characters, especially like the first two are really kind of focused on Melvin Royal and his influence on his wife and his kids. And then also, even though the series kind of changes direction, you're still engaged with these characters. You want to see what they're going to do next, which makes it a lot of fun and just a joy to read. And again, like I said, my favorite part, not only was it really intense, but also the overall character development and Gwen just learning to kind of, you know, move on with her life and, you know, starting fresh and, you know, persevering through all the hardship that she and her family have had to go through over the past few years, and just kind of, you know, finding happiness. I really love that overarching theme, and, you know, loving your family and all that stuff, I think are very important themes. My only complaint was that the kids in here were really annoying, and I did not like them at all, especially Lanny, like the teenage girl. I think she made her in such like a stereotypical moody, angsty, you know, teenager. It was just kind of hard to read, and they were kind of took away from the story. But if you're able to look past that, you know, it's totally fine. And I think just the gun culture in here, being Canadian, like, it was just a little bit weird, and just, you know, I don't think it's okay for people to own guns. And so just like the instances where like the kids would have access to this was a little bit not okay in just my eyes. But besides kind of those problematic things, I think this series is really a lot of fun. And because basically the series done, you could, you know, marathon through them, I think you would have a lot of fun with this and seeing the growth of the characters and just being attached to each different storyline and just the growth of these characters. So that's it, guys. I hope you guys kind of enjoyed this series review of the Stillhouse Lake series by Rachel Caine. But if you're looking for like a dark, twisted crime series, you know, with like serial killers and all that stuff kind of in the modern era, then I think you will really like this series. It is very sad that it kind of ended on such a tragic note with this author passing away, but, you know, her memory still lives on in these books. You can keep her, you know, memory alive with reading them. But yeah, like I said, I really love this series. I have some few nitpicky things here or there, but overall this is really a solid, you know, crime series. And if you're looking for something a little bit different, something edgy, dark and twisty, then this is the series for you. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you guys next time. Bye, guys.